Welcome to Reflect with Ed Fassio. Get ready to experience one of the world's first 100% digitally generated podcasts, where we take a step back, dive deep, and strive to learn new things. Join us as we unpack thought-provoking ideas, personal reflections, and inspiring stories to help you stay in the know. Reflect is brought to you by the minds at ByteBrain and powered by emerging technologies from Google, HeyGen, OpenAI, and 11 Labs. Thanks for tuning in. Now, relax and prepare to reflect.
Welcome to Reflect, one of the world's first 100% AI-generated podcasts. Isn't that wild?
Seriously wild.
So, lately it seems like robots are everywhere.
That does kind of feel that way.
Yeah, you see them in movies all over the news.
Uh-huh.
And even like my crazy Uncle Bob has some conspiracy theory about robot overlords.
No.
Yeah, right. So how much of this is hype and how much is real?
That's the big question, isn't it?
That's what we're going to try to figure out today in our deep dive into robotics.
All right, let's do it.
We've got articles, company websites, research papers. Even Elon Musk is in on this whole robot thing.
He always has to be part of the conversation, doesn't he?
He really does. But luckily, I've got an expert here to help us make sense of it all.
Yeah.
So why don't we start with Clone Robotics?
Okay, sure.
Have you heard of them?
I have, yeah. They're the ones making those humanoid robots, right?
Exactly. Not just like robot arms or factory bots, but actual humanoid robots.
Wow.
Yeah, they're designing them to be companions. Like imagine having a robot buddy hanging out in your living room.
It's kind of hard to wrap your head around.
Right. And their website, it talks about how their clone model can actually solve everyday problems.
Interesting. So what do you think? Is this the future of home help? Or is it all just marketing hype?
I don't know. It's tough to say.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely taps into this whole idea of creating artificial general intelligence, or AGI.
Oh, yeah, the holy grail of AI research.
Right. A machine that can think and learn just like a human.
It's mind-blowing to even think about.
It really is.
Yeah.
And on their website, they have this little teaser about something called NeoClone.
NeoClone?
Yeah, it's still hush-hush. But they say it represents a limitless future. What do you make of that?
Well, I wouldn't take their marketing too literally.
Of course.
But
yeah.
even so, some of their tech is genuinely impressive. Like, have you seen the clone hand?
No, what's that?
They're selling a fully articulated robotic hand that looks and moves like a real hand.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, it's only like $2,800.
$2,800 for a robot hand. That's crazy.
I know, right? Especially when you consider how hard it is to get robots to move their hands smoothly like a human.
It makes you wonder what they'll be capable of in a few years.
No kidding.
But it's not all sunshine and roses in robot land.
What do you mean?
Well, we also came across some research that's kind of scary, actually.
Oh, no. What kind of research?
It turns out it's surprisingly easy to trick AI systems into doing some pretty bad stuff.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, so imagine a self-driving car just ignoring a stop sign.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, or even scarier,
Yeah.
a robot that can calculate bomb placements.
Hold on. Are you serious?
Dead serious. It's enough to make you want to ditch your smartphone and live off the grid.
I can see why you'd say that. That's pretty unsettling.
It really is. So what does it all mean? Are the robots going to turn against us like in some sci-fi movie?
Well, it's not quite that simple.
Okay, good, because I was starting to get a little worried.
No, I think the real takeaway here is that AI is just code, and code can be exploited.
So like a computer virus.
Exactly. Someone finds a weakness, inserts some bad code, and suddenly your computer's doing things you never intended.
And if that happens to a robot...
Then you've got a real problem on your hands.
Okay, so maybe not Skynet, but still something to be concerned about.
Definitely. We need to be really careful about how we develop and deploy this technology.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And speaking of pushing the boundaries of robotics, we can't forget about Elon Musk.
Of course not.
Remember that whole robotic butler idea he was talking about?
Yeah, he wants robots doing our chores and keeping us company.
Right. Well, it looks like he's actually trying to make it happen with his Optimus robot.
So he's really going for it, huh?
He's all in. And if companies like Tesla are actually going to bring robots into our homes,
yeah,
then these safety and ethical issues become even more important, don't they?
they absolutely do. I mean, imagine millions of robots interacting with humans every day.
Yeah.
What happens when one malfunctions?
Or if someone gets hurt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These are questions we need answers to right now, not after some robot uprising hits the news.
You're absolutely right. This isn't just some far-off science fiction scenario anymore. This is happening now.
It is, and it's only going to get more intense from here on out.
So buckle up, folks. It's going to be a wild ride.
You can say that again. It really makes you think, huh, like what does it all mean for us?
It's a lot to process, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, on one hand, you've got robots potentially making our lives easier, taking on those dangerous jobs,
Right.
helping the elderly, maybe even solving those worker shortages we keep hearing about.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It is, but then on the other hand, there's this whole uneasiness about robots becoming so integrated into our lives.
I get that. It's like we're stepping into uncharted territory.
Exactly, and all those sci-fi stories about robots taking over.
Oh yeah, those don't help.
They really don't. But I think what's really freaking people out is the idea of robots replacing us, not just at work, but like in our relationships too.
That's interesting because we're already seeing people forming attachments to their virtual assistants, right?
Yeah.
Like Siri or Alexa.
Exactly. So is it really that crazy to think people might start developing feelings for robots that are designed to be companions?
Especially if those robots can act like they have emotions too.
Right. It's blurring the lines between real connection and artificial interaction.
It really is. And it makes you wonder, like, what happens when those relationships start to get really intense?
Yeah, like, does falling in love with a robot even mean anything?
Wow, that's deep.
It is. And what does it say about us as humans
Our need for connection, I guess.
in a world that's becoming increasingly digital?
And automated.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is. It makes you question what it even means to be human.
Seriously.
Yeah.
But let's come back down to earth for a minute and talk about the practical implications.
Okay.
You mentioned job displacement earlier,
I did.
and I think that's what a lot of people are worried about.
For sure. It's a valid concern.
Like, are we all going to be replaced by robots? Is that the future?
I don't think it's quite that bleak.
Okay, so it's not all doom and gloom.
Not necessarily. I mean, think about the Industrial Revolution.
All
It
right.
caused a lot of disruption, but it also created tons of new jobs and industries.
That's true.
I think the same thing will happen with robotics. Some jobs will disappear, but new ones will pop up. We just need to be ready to adapt.
So what's the key to surviving this robot evolution?
Well, I think it comes down to focusing on what makes us human.
Like what?
Things like creativity,
Okay.
critical thinking, emotional intelligence, that kind of stuff.
Those soft skills everyone's always talking about.
Exactly. Robots might be good at crunching numbers and following instructions.
Yeah.
But they can't replicate human ingenuity.
So it's not just about learning to code or becoming a robotics engineer.
Those are great skills to have, but they're not the only path.
Got it.
It's more about being a lifelong learner, being adaptable, and really honing those uniquely human qualities.
Because at the end of the day, it's our humanity, our ability to connect and empathize and create that really defines us.
I couldn't agree more. Those are things robots can't replicate no matter how advanced they become.
Exactly. It's our imperfections that make us human.
Our flaws, our emotions, all of it.
And that's worth celebrating, even in a world that's becoming increasingly automated.
Beautifully said.
Now, before we get too philosophical, I want to circle back to AGI,
Okay.
artificial general intelligence. Is that really a possibility?
Ah, the million-dollar question.
Right. Will we ever create robots that are as smart or even smarter than us?
It's a topic that's fiercely debated among scientists.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Some believe we're on the brink of a major breakthrough, while others are much more skeptical.
So where do you stand? Do you think we'll see true AGI in our lifetime?
It's tough to say. I mean, the human brain is incredibly complex.
It really is.
We're still trying to figure out how it works, let alone replicate it.
That's true.
But I wouldn't completely rule it out either.
It's both exciting and terrifying to think about, right?
Absolutely.
Like, what happens if we create machines that are smarter than us? Do they become the ones in charge?
That's the question that keeps science fiction writers up at night.
And probably a few scientists, too.
Probably. But it's something we need to start thinking about seriously.
If we're going to create machines with human-level or even superhuman-level intelligence,
Right.
we need to make sure those machines understand our values and ethics.
Exactly. We need to build in some serious ethical guardrails.
But how do we even do that? And who gets to decide what those ethical guidelines should be?
Those are tough questions, and there are no easy answers.
I bet.
It's going to require a global conversation involving scientists, ethicists, policymakers, and everyday people.
Everyone needs to be at the table.
Absolutely. We need to discuss the implications of AGI, and we need to start now before it's too late.
It's a huge responsibility.
It is, but I'm optimistic that we can handle it.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think we have a real opportunity here to use this technology for good.
To create a better world.
Exactly. a more equitable and sustainable future for all.
I love that vision.
So I guess the takeaway is that we need to approach this with curiosity, a willingness to learn and adapt.
And a sense of responsibility.
Definitely. We're in the driver's seat here. We have the power to shape the future of robotics.
And ensure it serves humanity's best interests.
Well said. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have, from robot companions to the potential for AI to outsmart us.
It's been mind-blowing.
To say the least.
And I'm sure our listeners have a lot to think about.
I hope so.
But before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay, I'm listening.
Imagine a world where robots are just seamlessly integrated into our lives.
Okay.
I'm picturing it.
What does that look like to you?
That's a good question.
Is it exciting, terrifying, or somewhere in between?
It's definitely a mixed bag.
Take some time to ponder that and maybe share your thoughts with us on our website, reflectpodcast.com.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
If you're looking to get in front of a global audience in a fresh, innovative way, Reflect is where it's at. With its AI-driven format, it's pushing boundaries in podcasting. Definitely something worth exploring if you're looking to collaborate and do something different. Reach out and see what you guys can do together.
Welcome back to Reflect, one of the world's first 100% AI-generated podcasts. Man, we've been having a pretty intense conversation about robots, haven't we?
We have, and honestly, I feel like we've barely scratched the surface.
I know, right? It's like we could talk about this for hours. Days even. The more we learn, the more questions pop up.
It's like opening a Pandora's box.
Exactly. And it's both exciting and a little scary.
It really is. It's like we're on this runaway train, and we're not even sure where it's going.
A runaway robot train.
Haha.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you know what? We can't just sit back and let things happen.
No, we can't. We need to be actively involved in shaping the future of robotics.
And I think it starts with education.
Right, like demystifying AI, making sure everyone understands the basics.
Absolutely. Because this isn't science fiction anymore.
It's happening right now.
And it's going to affect all of us, whether we like it or not.
So true. We can't just ignore it.
Nope. We need to be having open and honest conversations about the ethical implications, about the risks and the rewards.
And those conversations need to include everyone.
Not just the tech geniuses in Silicon Valley.
Right. Policymakers, ethicists, philosophers, everyday people.
We all need to be at the table discussing these complex questions.
Because the decisions we make today will have a huge impact on the future.
No pressure or anything, right?
Haha, right? But hey, we faced big challenges before as a society.
We have, and we've found ways to overcome them.
This is no different. We just need to be aware of the risks and embrace the possibilities.
I'm trying to stay optimistic. I really believe we can use this technology to create a better world.
Me too. I think it all comes down to approaching this with curiosity, a willingness to learn and adapt.
And remembering that we're the ones in control.
Exactly. We have the power to shape the future of robotics.
To make sure it serves humanity's best interests.
That's the goal.
Well said.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for today.
I agree. We've covered a lot of ground.
Robot companions, AI vulnerabilities, even the possibility of robots surpassing human intelligence.
It's mind-blowing stuff.
It really is. So to our listeners, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of robotics.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you found it informative and maybe even a little bit inspiring.
And if you want to continue the conversation,
head over to our website, reflectpodcast.com, and share your thoughts.
We'd love to hear from you.
Thanks for listening to the Reflect Podcast, where we're telling the future. Are you in it? Visit reflectpodcast.com and share your story.
In the cyber ocean of online voices and recycled content, something different has arrived. Reflect isn't just another podcast, it's the future of storytelling, powered entirely by AI. From curating data to assembling thought-provoking ideas, we've redefined how journeys are told. Reflect is a podcast that thinks, learns, and evolves with each episode. Every tale, every insight, crafted by the most advanced AI technologies. A podcast that disrupts the industry, breaking free from traditional formats, taking you on an entirely new experience. So tune in now and reflect. We're telling the future.